in 1989, one of the biggest oil spills in American history happened off the coast of Alaska. It was the Exxon Valdez spill, and it spilled 11 million gallons into the Alaskan sea coast. To put that into perspective, it would take one person 301 years to use up 11 million gallons. The reason why I bring up such an outdated spill is because the effects of the oil spill are still there today. It's been 26 years later, and the oil has gotten a little bit better, but not much better, and that's because it wasn't cleaned properly at the time of the spill. There are 3 methods today that I want to talk to you about oil spill cleanups, and that is burning, chemical detergents, and bioremediation. And knowing these methods are important because if you don't know how to clean up the spills properly, then you can seriously harm the environment and eventually your city. Okay, so the first and simplest method is just to burn the oil. It's pretty self-explanatory. You just light it up and it'll burn off. There are positives and negatives to this. The first positive is that it's obviously very easy to do. You just have to light the oil. It'll burn quickly and the oil will be gone in a matter of a couple of days. This is especially effective if the oil is starting to move into any sensitive habitats, like some endangered species might be residing alongside the coast where the oil could be moving into. The oil will be toxic to the animals and could kill them. Another positive is that burning is always an option. Even if it has already moved into the sensitive area, you can still burn it because the area will recover. It's better to try and bring the environment back than to just let it waste in the toxicness. Some negatives are that, like, just as burning a solid, the oil will leave like an ash behind, except it's more like a residue. So that can still coat the animals and damage the environment. It's really only used for small spills because if you try and burn a huge patch of oil, that can get out of control very quickly. And as you can see from the picture, it releases a lot of pollution into the air at once, so you don't really want to do that. A more complex way to cleaning up the oil spills is chemical detergents. And what the chemical detergents are is that they're a dispersant, and that just basically means it breaks up the oil into smaller particles. Some positives of this is that you can use this in any type of weather. With burning, you can't really use that if it's raining or if it's windy, but with the chemical detergents, you can use it whenever. And it's more effective for large spills. Some negatives is that the detergents themselves can be toxic to the environment as well, but it is less toxic than the oil would be. And it doesn't really clean or remove the oil, it kind of just breaks it up into smaller pieces, which makes it easier to manage. And they use it in conjunction with the next method, which is bioremediation. And what bioremediation is the use of oil-eating organisms to clean up an oil spill. And this chart just shows basically how it works. The bacteria release an enzyme which breaks down the oil, and then the bacteria eat it. Some positives is that this is a naturally occurring process, and so it's usually a lot safer to do. And even though it does have wastes, it's only carbon dioxide and water, and the carbon dioxide is released on a lot smaller scale than it would be for burning the oil. It's also more efficient because this process has developed from nature over millions of years, so it's really the best way to clean it up. And as the other two, there are also negatives with this. The bacteria, like all other animals, can only live in certain conditions. It has to be in a high oxygenated area because they do use oxygen to help them break down the oil. It also has to be the right temperature, and they have to get the right amount of nutrients, or else you won't be able to get the big population explosion that you need to be able to break down the oil in a good amount of time. And that's the other negative, is that it takes a long time to break down the oil. These are bacteria, so they're very tiny. The reason why they actually use the detergents before they scatter the bacteria is that it's easier for the bacteria to eat the smaller particles. So if it's a large spill, it's obviously going to take a longer amount of time to do, even if there is a lot of them. Okay. In conclusion, oil spills can affect anybody, even us. There's a lot of oil rigs out on the Gulf Stream, and there is a Florida loop current which kind of circles around and then goes in between Florida and Cuba and comes around up by us. So we could potentially be affected by oil. The different types of oil spills require different methods. So for burning, it's not good to use for large spills, and like for chemical detergents, that's more used if you have a little bit more time, and then the bioremediation is also if you have a little bit more time. Oh, okay, sorry. And knowing these different methods can save us time, money, and the lives of plants and animals. So if we want to keep our futures clean, we have to keep our oceans clean.